All right, welcome back, everyone. It is time for private IP addressing. But before we start, as you notice, my shirts, we have rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock. Right? That's the new version. The original version of rock, paper, scissors. Do you know where it started from? Where it originated from? The birth of rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors, sorry. The origination of that. I'm not going to tell you now. I'm going to keep you in suspense. I'm going to tell you after the lecture. And I'm going to tell you the importance of it. What people actually used to do with rock, paper, scissors. Whatever. All right? So, just so you know. Anyway, private IP addressing. What does it mean to be private? It means that these addresses are not routable on the internet or the public interface. When you take your CCNA exam, you're more likely going to be asked very few questions, but you'll be asked questions nonetheless. Something geared towards, hey, what would happen if you put a private IP address on a public interface? Something to that effect. Obviously, they're not routable. They're not routable on the internet. So how in the world then do we get outside? Because everybody internally has a private IP address. At home, you have a private IP address. In a business, you have a private IP address. So how is it that we're able to get out to the internet? And the quick, answer to that is obviously NAT, right? NAT overload, PAT, whatever you want to call it. That's what everybody uses. That's why it translates that private IP address to a public IP address, and you're able to get out on the internet. But just to even elaborate further on that, and I know some of you are saying, how can he elaborate further on that? Jesus. It's really not that they're not routable. They're not routable because they're being blocked. There's not something special, at least not that I'm aware of. There's nothing special in the header of these private IP addresses that says, you can't be on the internet, sorry. Right? And then they just don't work. No, they're being blocked. That's one of the things that you want to do. You want to block private IP addresses from coming internally into your network anyway through the use of access lists. So this is the reason why you can't have a private IP address on the public interface. You have to have a public IP address on the internet. But that's all going to change, isn't it? Once we get to IPv6, where NAT will no longer be needed because we will all be publicly assigned IP addresses. We no longer need that. It's all going to work just fine. So just to give you a final definition of that is that these IP addresses within the private ranges, which we're going to explain in the next lecture, each and every one, or A, B, and C really, they're just not routable. That's what you need to say. They're just not routable on the internet. You would need something like a NAT server in order to get out. Now, before we end the lecture, I said I was going to give you the answer to this. Rock, paper, scissors actually originated in China long time ago. And then it went to England. And in England, it was used as actually laws where nobody was allowed to play rock, paper, scissors because business deals were made this way. Even here in Florida, parts of Florida, judgments were made, court cases were decided where they're going to be based on rock, paper, scissors. Art deals, major art galleries, $1 million art galleries were actually said, okay, well, whoever wins the rock, paper, scissors gets this particular collection. And every year, just ended, every year in California, there's I think it's in California, rock, paper, scissor competition where they have actual referees and everything. That the winner of rock, paper, scissors, very serious, gets a $50,000 reward. How about that one? So we'll end with that. So I hope you enjoyed the lecture. Now you know about private IP addresses and rock, paper, scissors. But do you know where rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock came from? That'll be the next one.